Hey friends and family, my name is Skylent. Happy Halloween, and in light of the holiday season here, we are going to be talking about some scary games. We're going to be talking about the top 10 free-to-play online horror games. These are games that I think are, very much best enjoyed whenever you are trying to experience its atmosphere, trying maybe a little bit to scare yourself or maybe to scare others because of the online atmosphere of these. Yeah, a lot of the times you are going to be competing with other players. A lot of the times, cooperative. Either way, a lot of frights and fun to be had. So in saying that, the horror genre is extremely subjective. Just look at reviews for horror movies. Generally not that great. And yet, we have cult classic. Depending on what you're scared of, what you like and don't like, this list is extremely subjective, but overall I took some ratings, took popularity, I mixed and matched a bunch of different genres, and I think you'll at least find one game that you're gonna have fun with this holiday. So trick or treat, it depends, but try them all and find what's sweet. Let's get into the list. Starting out this list is a game called Cry of Fear. Now, Cry of Fear is single player and cooperative, so you can do whatever you want, man. It has this very Silent Hill kind of feel to it, where you run through deserted areas, modern areas, neighborhoods, sewers, stuff like that. And then there's just like all this crazy shit, monsters and chainsaw flesh monsters and floating beds that attack you. It's really weird. Now, if I had to liken this or metaphor it in any way, I guess I could say it's like one of those classic cult B movies that really is a lot better than it should have been. It just kind of happened to hit all the right notes. That's Cry of Fear. Yeah, you could tell it's a lesser production value, but it's still kind of cool. Just jump in, look past some of the graphics, maybe even because of the harsh graphics, kind of instills a little bit of fear. Forget about the faults, guys, and I think how scared you can potentially get in this game will definitely make you. But yeah, absolutely nothing crazy revolutionary here. It's a first-person shooter, limited ammo. I mean, it is pretty cool that it's free-to-play co-op horror game, and actually, this list was very hard to make because of it, but Cry of Fear is definitely one that I think that you have to play. I insist that you play it. Codename Cure. This is going to be a cooperative zombie survival game. It's a little bit interesting though because it's not just wave survival, you actually have these objectives and you have different characters or classes that you can play as to kind of support the team. So yeah, it's a first-person cooperative zombie game with support up to 5 players, providing immersive, fast-paced zombie fragging with fully dynamic and objective-based missions. Okay, it's still early access, maybe a little bit rough around the edges, and again, it's not going to be too revolutionary in its core gameplay mechanics, but at the same time in the horror genre, a lot of games are paid to play and not too many really do the whole co-op thing that great in the free-to-play genre. So here we go, Codename Cure. Got zombies, got co-op. It's free to play, jump in with some friends and have some fun, even if it is just a little bit rough. Next up on the list, we have Evolve. Now, Evolve is a competitive / cooperative game. Basically, it's asymmetrical multiplayer, as in one person plays a monster in a multiplayer online environment, and 4 other players co-op together to destroy that other player. Now, the monster has the objective to kill the other hunters or to actually destroy the generator once it hits stage 3. That's the whole point of Evolve. You want to eat things so that you can grow and evolve. And it feels very MOBA-ish for the monster, and it feels very Left 4 Dead-ish. It's actually from the makers of Left 4 Dead for the hunters. It kind of plays almost like a hero shooter, kind of almost like, Left 4 Dead. It's this weird mix of like arcade shooter, these ability powers and stuff like that. And at the same time, the underlying story, the graphics, and the concept of hunters versus monster gives it just like a little bit of an edge. Depending on how good the monster is or how good the hunters are, you can definitely have a sense of fear playing the game, even though it is multiplayer. Right, so let's talk about an old classic. I'm serious, guys. This game has been around for quite a while, much far beyond the times of DayZ. This has been one of the premier free-to-play games. I mean, back when RuneScape was popular, like a bunch of new games started coming out kind of in light of RuneScape, trying to be MMOs, the whole browser-based thing too going on. Yep, this is one of those games. Check out Dead Frontier. Yeah, it's top-down survival zombie MMO thing. It's pretty arcade, but I have to admit the atmosphere is really dark and depressing. And it's the only truly full MMO on this list, too. It's an open world that's kind of broken up by these little loading screens. That's fine, I guess, for the technology. But even saying it is an MMO, I have to admit that it's really awesome if you jump in with a friend or two and go play it kind of co-op style. And don't worry, it being an MMO, trust me, it's definitely got some difficulty, or else it wouldn't be scary, would it? Yeah, Dead Frontier, it's a classic. It had to be on this list. What else would I put? Until we get like a planet-side scale zombie MMO, this is the zombie MMO. Next on the list, we have an online action RPG, Vindictus. Now, Vindictus is sister title to Dragon Nest, and if you look at Dragon Nest, you can see that there's almost no similarities. But when you jump into the game and you find the action combat to be spectacular, then yeah, you can start to see why it resembles Dragon Nest in ways. It is a very action-based RPG. Yeah, it also has roots in anime in ways, especially with the RPG mechanics, whenever you are talking to the people in town, stuff like that. But whenever you are actually in dungeons, actually playing the game with the action-based combat, then you are going to see how it can potentially resemble games like Dark Souls, or have its roots based in Diablo. Very gritty, dirty, and dark. Yeah, sure, it's fast and furious, but it's also bloody, gory, visceral, literally. If you're looking for like an MMO experience that's on the darker side with a darker tone, with excellent monster animations, I love fighting some of these bosses, then you're going to want to check out Vindictus. No More Room in Hell. This game was inspired by a movie. Wonder if you can guess which one. Anyways, this is a standalone game that was actually at one time a mod. So yeah, it was based on a mod. It was a mod. It was super successful, and boom, they got a whole game. No, seriously, I always love games and seeing them rise from the community like that into full productions. You know, made by players for the players and for fans of horror and zombies. Co-op with up to 8 players. Find some other fans of the genre yourself and join into the fray. This is a game that through trial and error has ironed out its mechanics. It's pretty polished considering the competition too. Now, it's got a little bit of a slower pace compared to Left 4 Dead, but I think that if you appreciate a more sort of realistic kind of approach to the zombie apocalypse, less so much the arcade of Left 4 Dead, and you know, you don't want to spend any money, heck yeah, check out No More Room in Hell. Okay, friends, here's a game I can't say too much about because NDAs. I do have access to it, but yeah, I'm just gonna show the trailer and we're just gonna talk about what we know publicly, okay? So this is a game by Epic Games, okay? And it basically takes the Horde mode from Gears of War and kind of just mixes it with Minecraft. And actually, the formula, it's pretty freaking good. Now, as a horror game, I'll admit it's super duper cutesy, but as a game overall, it's really, really fun. And the genre itself is kind of a fear-based in a way. I mean, it's wave survival-based. You're definitely gonna have feelings of fear and scaredness, especially when the boss wave is announced and stuff like that. When you get overran by swarms of monsters, there's a little bit of tension there, just a little bit. So yeah, Fortnite, it looks super cute. I'm still putting it in the horror list because I think it matches. However, this game is not fully released yet. There's an NDA. You can potentially get access to it, but it's also kind of a closed beta thing. So, kind of an awkward child on this list, but hopefully you still appreciate it. Next up, we have the critically acclaimed mod turned into standalone game, Alien Swarm. Now, this is going to be a class-based, top-down shooter, right? It's cooperative, it's free to play, and you just killing a bunch of aliens. So, definitely kind of a little bit inspired by a certain franchise called Alien. Yeah, I think a lot of people are really going to dig the aesthetic. It's really light, it's really easy to get into, it's pretty freaking intuitive, and for a free-to-play game, especially a horror game, it's kind of niche. Yeah, you really want that. You want to be able to jump in and just get right into the action, man. At a party, a Halloween sort of LAN event, who fucking knows, man? There's so many situations that you can just jump in and have a ton of fun with Alien Swarm. It doesn't even have to be Halloween. Now, yes, as a horror game, it's wave survival, you're gonna have that sense of fear, absolutely, but also, guys, just as a game, period, it's just good. It knows what it wants to be. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's simply polished and good. Coming in second place, I have an adorable game called Unturned. An adorable game on a horror list? Yeah, well, Unturned is a very specific genre, okay? So if this is the same genre as DayZ or H1Z1, it's like you versus the world, open world PvP, or you can have co-op servers or just PvP servers if you want. And it's just a zombie apocalypse, but it's more like a zombie blockalypse because everything is very blocky and yeah, very cutesy. It's actually first envisioned by a 16-year-old, and in my opinion and critically, if you look at the reviews, it's the best in the genre, which is extremely surprising. But absolutely, friends, if you want to jump into the game with your friends and experience this new emergent genre, which there are so many games out there are trying to emulate the whole DayZ formula, trust me, Unturned is a great game. Even if it looks cutesy, you're still gonna get that unique experience, that fright of flight and fight that you really don't get in other games, even other PvP games. Scavenging for materials, crafting items. Yeah, it looks blocky, it looks bare bones, but trust me, it offers everything that you might want to experience in this genre, and for the awesome price of freaking free. And at number 1, I'm gonna have to talk about Path of Exile. This is a free-to-play online action RPG, and many people will consider it one of the best free-to-play games out there because there is no pay to win, there is no incentivization of whatsoever in any like boosters or anything like that. No, fuck that. The game is pure and whole as it is. It could have been a $20, it could have been a full-priced game, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a completely polished, excellent piece of software. It's amazing. Okay, so a lot of people like it as a free-to-play game. Just cosmetics in the cash shop, and they're pretty freaking good. Next, as an action RPG, many people consider it one of the best, if not the best. A lot of people think it's really a spiritual sequel, successor to Diablo, the original. So if you're wondering, does this actually compete with the AAA games like Diablo 3? Fuck yes, it does. And as an RPG, it gives you the mechanics that you want. A huge, probably one of the best character customizations that you could ever see. Not so much cosmetically, you pick a character and from there you don't really go too much far cosmetically, but between the armors, all the different items, the randomization, and of course, the sphere glyph-like level system where you actually can mix and match different abilities and augment your character to really mind-bogglingly, like, infinite amounts? I don't want to say infinite, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure it might be a little bit infinite. But gamification aside, because it is a great game, as a horror game, it actually sets up the atmosphere amazingly well. It is incredibly dark and brooding, overwhelmingly depressing, I would have to say, but that's where the game has its charm. It gives you just enough power, just enough customization. Gives you the tools. No, it gives you the tools to make tools for you to scrape by, to survive, and eventually become somewhat of a monster yourself. Path of Exile is a fun single-player experience. Voice dialogue, the narration is amazing, and the writing is damn poetic. And the cooperative play is amazing too. So as a game, as a whole, it's amazing. And if you want something that really hits you with a story, with the atmosphere, there you go too. Path of Exile is, in my opinion, a AAA free-to-play game that competes on all fronts. And of course, as a horror game alone, even competing with these other games, in my opinion, it's number 1. Thanks so much, Ghouls and Ghosts, for checking out my top 10 list here for the multiplayer free-to-play online horror games. I think it's a pretty novel concept, and it's really a unique experience if you've never tried anything like that. This list is just a mixed match, a hodgepodge of all sorts of different kinds of games with an underlying tone of horror, of scare, of darkness. Hopefully you can appreciate that, you and your friends. And hey, they're free, so no harm in knocking on the door. Trick or treat. Hope you have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.